This story is not for those who fear midnight cries or who still sleep with the light on. If your heart is soft like yam soaked too long in soup, I beg, carry your mat and go. But if you're brave, come closer, my friend. Fill your calabash with palm wine. Draw your wrapper tight and listen well. Because what I'm about to tell you happened right here, not in the land of talking trees or flying tortoises. This happened in next village. And if you doubt it, go and ask the elders who still have memory sharper than a fresh razor blade. There once lived a girl named Ure, short for Urema, meaning beautiful soul. But don't let that name fool you. Her soul was about as beautiful as a frog's behind during dry season. You see, Ure was the kind of girl whose beauty could confuse even the village priest. But her character, rotten like mangoes hidden under firewood. When her mother, Adaoma, passed away from a mysterious fever, one that began after she attended a burial where the widow wore red lipstick. You know the kind of funeral I'm talking about. Ure was just 9 years old. Her father, Papa Uku, remarried a calm, hard-working woman named Mama Neka. Now, Mama Neka was not from the village. She came from across the river Izu, a place said to be surrounded by whispering trees and stubborn spirits. But she cooked well, fetched water faster than any woman, and never raised her voice. The only thing she brought with her was a strange wooden comb tied with red thread. She said it belonged to her mother, but people whispered that it looked too fresh for a dead woman's item. From the very beginning, Ure hated her. Not disliked, oh, hated, with the fire of 7 suns. Why? Because she believed Mama Neka was trying to take her mother's place. Witch, she'd mutter under her breath while Mama Neka pounded yam. Goat, she'd say while handing her the cooking spoon. And Papa Oku? The man was blind to it all, like a chicken that thinks the hawk is playing. Years passed, and Ure grew more wicked than the python that swallowed a chief's goat and still asked for pepper soup. She made her stepmother do everything, fetch firewood, wash her clothes, even kneel to greet her like a servant. When villagers asked why, she'd say, "She's not my mother, she's just a housekeeper my father calls wife." But something strange began to happen. Every night, around the second cock crew, Mama Neka would sit outside combing her hair with that red thread comb. No sound, no chant, just the scrap of comb through thick coils. The air would grow cold. Even mosquitoes stopped biting. Then one night it happened. Ure heard a soft voice calling her name. Ure, Ure. But it wasn't Mama Neka. It was her real mother's voice. She was sure of it. Adoma's voice, the one that used to hum lullabies while rubbing shea butter on her legs. She jumped up, but when she opened the door, there was no one. Only a trail of white feathers leading into the bush. She followed it. Don't ask me why. You know, curiosity can carry a person into a snake's wedding. She walked until she reached the giant udala tree where her mother's grave was dug. And there in the moonlight sat a woman wrapped in white cloth, face covered with a veil of palm fronds. "My daughter," the woman said, "you've forgotten me." Ure's knees buckled. Ma, is it you?" "Your stepmother. She wears my skin. She walks in my place. You must send her back to the river." "How?" Ure cried. The spirit smiled slowly. "Burn her comb." The next day, Ure didn't waste time. She waited until Mama Neka went to the stream. Then she crept into her hut like a lizard looking for warmth and found a comb still wrapped in red thread. It buzzed slightly in her hand like it was alive. Without thinking twice, she threw it into the fire. Whap! The flames roared as if palm oil had been poured on it. A scream echoed, not from Mama Neka, but from somewhere else. Birds flew in circles, goats ran. Even the palm wine tapper, that's me, dropped his calabash. Mama Neka returned later, calm as usual, but her eyes, her eyes no longer blinked at the same time. One eye stayed open just a little longer, just enough to make a strong man uncomfortable. That night, the village rain refused to fall, even though thunder growled like a hungry dog. And Ure, she started having dreams, visions of her mother being buried alive, clawing at the coffin, whispering curses. 3 days after the comb burned, something happened that the village griots still whisper about when the moon is bright and the dogs won't sleep. A woman was seen walking out of the Udala forest. White cloth, palm frond veil, barefoot, but no dust on her feet. She walked straight to Papa Oku's compound. The villagers followed, some with their mouths open, others holding their amulets. Mama Neke stood at the doorway, calm like always, holding a calabash of ogbono soup. But when she saw the woman in white, she dropped it. The soup hit the ground and it sizzled like fire met ice. The veiled woman pointed at her, thief of skin, liar of the river. Then, as if the earth had ears, thunder struck the Odala tree and Mama Neke began to transform. Not melto, but twist. Her neck stretched, her skin darkened like burnt cassava, and her arms shrank until they folded into wings. Wings, my friend! Before anyone could blink twice, she flapped and flew into the sky, screaming like a child did not meet. The veiled woman collapsed. Ure ran to her. Ma, I burned the comb like you said. The woman pulled off her veil slowly. It was Adaoma, her real mother, but her mouth was full of soil and her eyes were not eyes, just 2 empty holes. My daughter, why did you not ask why I died? And that was when it hit Ure. She never once asked why her real mother died. Never asked how her father remarried so fast. Never asked why no one was allowed to touch Adaoma's grave. In her blind hatred for her stepmother, she missed the real mystery, one that the veiled spirit now whispered. It was not fever that killed me, it was poison, in the very soup I drank, brought by the man you call father. Before Ude could scream, the veiled woman vanished into smoke. The villagers scattered like rats in fire. Papa Oku, that night, he packed his bags, walked into the bush, and never returned. Some say he turned into a lizard. Others say he ran to the city. Me? I say guilty men always run faster than their shadows.
Uda was never the same again. She now fetches water for every woman in the village, rain or shine. She sweeps the compound before the rooster crows. For 3 days after the spirit vanished, Ure couldn't sleep. Her dreams were filled with dirt, coughing corpses, and her mother calling her from under the ground. Ask them why. Ask them what I knew. On the 4th night, she woke up sweating like a goat at a naming ceremony. There was scratching, not from her door, but from under the floor. Tap, 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 like nails on wood. Then a voice. Dig! Dig where they buried me! Ure didn't wait for dawn. She grabbed Papa Oku's old cutlass and ran to the Udala tree, the same tree under which her mother was buried with loud weeping and cheap kola note. She dug, deeper, deeper still, until her cutlass hit something, not a coffin, a second body, wrapped in red cloth and bound in chains. Chains, my people! Adaoma's grave was fake. Her real body was hidden right there, beside the grave. Confused and shaking, Ure ran to the oldest woman in the village, Mama Oku, the retired midwife, who knew the story of everyone's placenta. Mama Oku, Ure cried, my mother was buried in chains. Mama Oku sipped her palm wine like nothing shocked her. So, the truth wants to dance finally. Then she told her what no one ever dared say. Your mother, Adaoma, was going to expose something. Something about your father, the chief, and the land under the river shrine. They said she was becoming a threat. So, the elders, including your father, decided to silence her before she could speak. But why chains? Ure asked, lips dry like harmattan leaf. Mama Oku leaned close and whispered, because Adaoma was no ordinary woman. She came from a bloodline that cannot die easily, unless you bind them in sacred chains from the river gods. Ure's knees gave way. So it was cruel. Her mother had powers, and her father helped cover up her death, the same father who had vanished. Ure returned home, mind racing. She entered Papa Oku's hut, searching for answers. Behind the calabash shelf, she found a hole. In the hole, she found a box. In the box, she found a piece of Adaoma's wrapper, dried herbs, and a small carved figure of a woman with no face. Before she could scream, the air shifted. Cool breeze entered. Then Papa Oku's voice. Why couldn't you leave the past alone? She turned around. He was standing there, thin, hollow-eyed, skin dry like smoked catfish. Papa,
He laughed, but it wasn't a laugh, more like bones clicking. Did you think your mother came back on her own? Then he stepped closer. Something helped her rise. Something we buried long ago, under the river shrine. And now, it wants you too. Yuri screamed and ran. But as she passed the mirror on the wall, she saw it. For 1 second, her reflection wasn't hers. It was Adaoma's face, smiling. Yuri didn't wait. She ran to the river shrine, the place her mother warned her about, the place they said nobody enters without being called. The water was still, too still. Even frogs refused to croak. She walked across the old stones, her feet trembling. At the center of the shrine stood a statue, half woman, half fish, holding a bowl. She heard a whisper. Blood must answer for blood. Dig. She dug beneath the statue. Her fingers hit stone. She pulled out a scroll wrapped in cloth, ancient. When she unwrapped it, she found names. Names of women who had disappeared over the years, including her mother, including Mama Naneka. Because yes, Mama Naneka was also on that list. That wasn't just a stepmother. That was another sacrifice. As Uri stood there stunned, a shadow appeared beside her. It was Mama Naneka, but different. Her eyes glowed. She wasn't wearing her usual wrapper, but all white.
I wasn't here to harm you, she said gently. I was sent to protect you.
What do you mean? Ur asked, tears hot in her eyes.
I was sent by your mother. The night she died, she summoned an oath with the river, a guardian in her image. That's me. The comb you burned, it didn't kill me. It set me free. Ur's jaw dropped.
But you flew away, turned into a bird.
I didn't fly, she smiled sadly. I returned to my form. Your real enemy was never me, child. It was the secret buried beneath the shrine. And now that you've touched it, suddenly the water behind them rose. It formed a wave shaped like a face, wide eyes, gaping mouth. It spoke in 1,000 voices. You broke the seal. The dead can no longer sleep. The oath is undone. Mama Nyeka pulled Ur close. Run. Tell the village. Tell them to flee.
But why? What is it?
Mama Nyeka stared at the rising water. It's your mother, but not the one you remember. The river kept only her anger. Back in the village, the ground began to rumble. Dogs barked. Children cried. The old Udala tree cracked in half. And from Adaoma's fake grave, a mist rose, thick and black, with hands and eyes. The ancestors tried to hold her down. The shrine tried to keep her sealed. But the seal was broken because of Ur, because of truth. And as the moon disappeared behind a red sky, one whisper echoed across the village. A daughter woke what even the gods feared. The thing that rose from the Udala grave was not Adaoma. Not really. It had her voice. It had her eyes. But its laughter, it cracked walls. Ur stood frozen as the mist formed a body, white wrapper, blood-stained edges, and a necklace of chicken bones.
You wanted the truth, my daughter, but truth has a price. She stretched her hand. The earth beneath the shrine split. Bones, dozens, maybe hundreds. All women, all forgotten, all buried to protect the land contract signed between Papa Oku, the chief, and the shadowy foreign company that mined minerals beneath sacred lands. The shrine wasn't just holy, it was the boundary between the living and the cursed. And now, the curse was free. Suddenly from the forest edge, Papa Oku appeared, but he had no shadow. His eyes were black like burnt yam. His lips whispered, but his voice came from behind Ure's ears. I tried to bury her soul, Ure. I tried to drown it with money, with silence, with tradition. But blood doesn't forget. And now we all must pay. He turned to the villagers gathering in fear. I gave up her life so you could have roads, electricity, progress. The chief, old and shaking, stepped forward. You fool! The deal was to bind her, not release her. Suddenly, Adaoma's ghost floated off the ground. You men traded women's lives for light bulbs. So now, let's turn off the light. She clapped her hands. Darkness fell. Not night, oh, real darkness. The type you can't breathe inside. In the pitch black, only one voice was heard. Ure! Ure! Choose. Adaoma's spirit appeared in front of her. Join me, and I'll spare your soul. Reject me, and your bloodline ends tonight. Mama Neka reappeared too, eyes glowing. Don't listen, child. The river sent me to guide you. She wants your body to return fully. She walked to the shrine, and for the first time she spoke in a voice not her own. Let the truth decide. She picked up the red thread comb, now whole again. She pierced her palm and smeared blood on it. The ground shook. A wind swept through. The spirits rose. Women, dozens, hundreds, all glowing, all watching. Adaoma tried to scream, but a chain of light wrapped her waist. Your fight is not with the living anymore, the spirit said. And with one loud "Gah!" she vanished in flames of white smoke. When the light returned, only Ure and Mama Neka remained. But Mama Neka began to fade. Ure cried, "Please don't go. I was wrong. You are my only real mother."
Mama Neka smiled softly, placing a hand on Ure's head. I was never just your stepmother. I was your mother's twin, separated at birth, chosen by the river to guard her child. I wore her pain, so you wouldn't. And with that, she vanished into mist. But the comb remained. It now glowed red and pulsed. People say Ure never left the village. She rebuilt the shrine. Every new moon, she lights a fire and tells the story to children of how she hated her stepmother and nearly gave her soul to a vengeful ghost. The comb still sits in a calabash, untouched. Some say if you listen closely at night, you can hear a woman's voice brushing her hair. So my brothers, my sisters, and my people who gossip at palm wine joints, what is the lesson here? Not every spirit seeks peace. Some seek permission. And not every stepmother is wicked. Some wear suffering like a second skin to protect fools like us. So next time your mother comes in your dream, ask twice before you follow her into the bush, because not every ma is who she says she is. But if you hear scratching under your floor tonight, don't say I didn't warn you.
If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Someone out there might need to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time and support. See you in the next story.